Hey guys, it's Steven Sun at Homes by Sun with Remax back again for the week of April 25th to look at what had happened in the Toronto real estate market last week, as well as to continue our conversation about the Liberal budget that was announced 3 weeks ago, some of the policy that are coming, and what their effects are going to be on the real estate market. We've got a lot to discuss today, so without further ado, let me just share my screen and we will get into taking a look at. First of all, I wanted to show you this chart. So this is from House Sigma. House Sigma is a third-party tech website that tracks a lot of the home data. I have to admit, a lot of agents actually use this platform. It's much better than the platform that we agents use, but that's going to be changed later on this year. We're getting a brand new MLS system, and hopefully we can also provide this kind of analytical data easily within our platform. So this is a chart from House Sigma, and I'll just quickly take a look at. This is comparing detached home between February and April 19th, the price drop. Now, you've already probably heard on the news that there has been a shift in the market. A lot of areas are getting a lot less traffic. So this will show you where in the greater Toronto area where the drop were the highest. So it's ranked by color, I guess, with red being with the most drop, and then it goes down to sort of the orange and yellow. So the most drop areas are all outskirt in Brock, Georgiana, East Gwillimbury, King City, which are Stouffville, Milton. All of the area they're further out from the core, they are experiencing a more significant drop. So we're talking about some areas 30%, 20%, and in the Toronto area. So let's look at the chart here. So Mississauga, about 11% drop. Brampton, 11%. We're down to number 13, Markham, about 11%. And Toronto is number 19 on the list, about 10%. Now, this is very consistent with what I've been doing, tracking the market on a weekly basis. We sort of saw that coming last week or the week before. If you follow my video, you also would have predicted that because of the volume of new listing coming onto the market versus the number of transactions, the gap gets bigger and bigger every week. That indicates a price drop is coming. Now, it's not that the market shift is across the board. This is talking about detached home. Remember, this is only looking at one category, detached home. There are multiple different categories, such as townhomes. Even townhomes have different categories. End unit townhomes, townhomes with 3 bedroom, townhomes with 4 bedroom. They have their own little microeconomics. So within those categories, you actually may see a rise in prices or a much less percentage drop. All right, so keep this in mind when you're looking at these data. Most of the time, they're only either too general or too specific. This is only looking at one type. And even detached home, there are different types: single car garage, double car garage, or garage detached garage. All sorts are different. So it is important for you to just have a general idea, but not to generalize the whole market, saying that, hey, I saw that the graph, there's 10% drop, so I'm going to assume everything dropped by 10%. That is simply not the case. All right, so let's jump into the chart that we've been doing since the beginning of the year. So we're week 16 now. We're looking at the data from April 16 to April 22nd. And you can see that there was a slight increase in the number of new listings. Again, keep in mind, new listings could include relists. Listing that didn't sell the week before, they get canceled and they come back onto the market. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there were 2,880 new property that came onto the market last week. It only means there were that many new listings. The actual properties that are for sale is it's going to be less than this number. Unfortunately, we don't have an easy way of eliminating repeat listings. So if we do this number every week, I would assume the percentage of repeat listings will be somewhat similar, may drop a little bit, may rise a little bit, but across the board, we need this number to graph our chart below. So I'm going to keep this number, but just a little side note for you to keep in mind. Now, another interesting number. So the number of transactions certainly went down quite a bit last week. A lot of buyers are pausing. They are maybe wanted to sit on the sideline for a couple of weeks, see where the prices are going, or or the properties are on the market, still on the market, are not that favorable. They don't like them. They have time. They're gonna wait. But what is really, really interesting is the 100 and percentage, so over asking. So this number at the height was around 87%. We've since dropped to below 60%. So what does that mean? That means a lot of listings that got sold were sold below asking. Property would have been underpriced, trying to get multiple offers, but no offer or offers didn't meet their expectation, and now they're relisted at a higher price and then end up selling. So property are still selling, but they're not selling like hotcake. Not everything is selling by multiple offers. 58% is more normal. The norm used to be around 45 to 50%. So we're approaching that. It is more balanced right now, unless the property is really nice, nicely done up, layout is perfect, then you're gonna get some competition. So it's dropped to below 60%, and if we look at this gap here, we can sort of deduce that there was a price drop. So if we look at the chart of pricing, we can see that the average sale price. So this is the price of all the 982 transactions. The average price dropped to about 1.4 million. This represents a 5% drop from the week before. And the week before was 5% from the height, which is around here. So if we remember back this chart that we were looking at between February and April, our chart also corresponds to exactly the same thing. There has been about across the board about 10 or 11% drop. Okay, so we kind of saw that coming way before, and if you follow this video, you would have followed my journey to see that the price drop happened sort of at the latter half of February, and this is where we are now. Condo side, very similar. Condo side, so we had actually more listing that came onto the market. Same thing with the detached side, right? More than the week before, and the number of transaction was way less. So again, we have a big gap here. and the percentage of sold over asking is about 57%. Also dropped from the week before, which was 62%. So condo reflect the detached market. I guess what happens is if a lot of people can't sell their detached home to downsize to a condo, or the condo owners don't want to get into the low-rise market, like be it townhouse or detached home, they're sitting on the sideline, then they're not putting up their condo for sale, or their condo is sitting on the market, they can't sell it, they're 900 something listing, but only 300 transaction, they can't sell it, so they can't buy the next home that they want. So it's kind of go hand in hand. And it's been a while, but now we see a more significant price drop in the condo side. So things have peaked around March, week of March. So mid March for the condo side has kind of peaked, and now we're seeing a drop. Now, overall, we are still average price wise, we are still around third week of January prices. So it's not, nothing is on the fire sale. If the condo shows nicely, it's been staged, good location, it is still selling, and it's still selling with multiple offers. Okay, so when we look at these data, we generalize it, but when actually, if you're in the market and you are looking at specific properties, you have to study the micro economics for that type of, even condos have different types, right? The age of the building. Newer buildings tend to get a little bit more money. As they age, the condo fee goes up, and so the price increase slows down. So the age of the condo has something to do with it, the location of the condo, and amenities, whether it has visitor parking or not. Those things also affect the price of the condo. Okay, so with the market data out of the way, we're going to take a look at the federal budget, and this is part two that I want to discuss some of the housing initiative and give you my opinion as to what I think how it's gonna affect the real estate market in the next few years. So last week we talked about a couple of points, and this week we're going to talk about, first of all, the residential property flip rule. Now, this is a rule created to reduce flipper activities. A lot of people saw that the real estate market was going up and up and up, and they decided to get into the flipping game by buying a property that is probably needs some work, put some renovation into it, and sell it at a profit. If when this comes into play next year, January 1st, 2023, you if you buy a property and you sell it within 1 year, you can no longer declare capital gain. So let's say you hold it for 9 months and say, hey, I don't want to live there. It's no longer a capital gain. They're going to be fully 100% taxable. Now, with this tax, hold on, let me just get rid of that. So with this being taxable, it's going to be 100% taxable, and it's going to be added onto your income tax. There is no primary resident exemption. So you can't say, oh, because or you can't buy a property, move in there, renovate it, move in there, and then sell it within the time period. That's not considered a primary resident exemption. However, there are exceptions to this proposed rule, which is the any death, divorce, marriage, illness, or employment changes. So what do these mean? It means if you get married and the unit is too small, you must move out. Or you get a divorce, say you buy a house and now you can't live together anymore, you must sell it. Things like that will allow you to avoid the 100% taxation when you sell a property that you've owned for less than 12 months. So my thought for this is there are a lot of loopholes. Again, what they're trying to do is eliminate flipper activities, but a lot of people are not really professional flippers. It's a side business for them, and what they do is they may have kids that move into that are over 18. They will put the kids in there, fix up the place, and then sell after. So it is very difficult for the government to give a proper definition of what is a major life event. With kids, they can lose their job, right? They can say, "Oh, I'm changing jobs, this and that," and so what if they're self-employed? And now they start looking for work and they say, hey, it's an employment change and I'm applying to a job in Waterloo, so I need to sell. Um, how about sickness, right? How sick do you need to be? Hey, does COVID count? Or how sick do you need to be hospitalized before you can sell your property? So all these definitions have not been written out, or and so we don't know what the thresholds are, where the lines are drawn. What about job promotion where you were working in Markham, now you're working in downtown? Does that count as a major life event that you can sell your property within 12 months without getting hit, right? And also, 12 months isn't a really long time for a lot of investors. Um, I have many investors who bought and renovate, and it's taken them more than a year because of material shortage or labor shortage. They can't find people to do this and that, right? Or can a investor just buy something and rent it out for a year and then do the renovation and sell, right? So those ones will get away with it. This rule, I think, will eliminate a lot of quick flip schemes where somebody just in it for quick money, in and out, in and out. Will eliminate those, but it's not really going to change the prices of property all that much. Um, in the grand scheme of things, in the overall real estate market, flipping homes, it's only a very small percentage of the sale that goes to most people. They will buy, renovate, and they'll actually live in it for at least 2 to 3 years before they sell. So those are not really a flip uh, project. So I think it's going to have some effect, but it's not really going to change the pricing too much. The second one that I think will have much bigger impact is the GST HST on assignment sale. Assignment sales traditionally are GST HST exempt if you are doing it for the right intention. So what we're talking about here is, let's say you bought something from a builder and you don't get it until 4 or 5 years later. Life change, your situation changed. Maybe you weren't married then, but 4 years later, now you're married with a kid. You can no longer move into that bachelor apartment or that one bedroom apartment. If you can show your intention was to move in yourself, but circumstances don't allow you to anymore, then you can sell it and not collect the HST on the profit. But the proposed rule change is going to make all assignment HST applicable. So what that means is not only self-user will have to pay, any investor, any of that, everybody, they just want everyone to be equal to pay HST on the profit. HST on the profit will definitely hit the pocketbook of anyone that's doing this for profit, because it is up to the assigner, so the seller of the agreement, to collect that HST. However, if the seller of the agreement is a non-resident, then it is up to the second buyer, the ultimate buyer, to remit to the CRA. A lot of confusion as to how that is going to be implemented. How does the ultimate buyer know that the second buyer is non-resident, this and that, right? So we have to be very careful when when we're doing an assignment sale. We have to establish where the seller of the APS is. Are they local? Are they physically in Canada, or are they located outside? And I think this rule will definitely have an impact, a bigger impact on the pre-construction condo market. If the price of pre-construction condos comes down, then I think there is much bigger room for the used condo to grow, because if the prices are similar, but one, you need to wait many years before you're getting it, and then you might get hit with the HST, then more people will actually prefer to buy something that's already completed, maybe 1 year old, 2 year old. That way they can move in right away. And there will be a lot less speculator who are banking on buying 3, 4, 5 units of pre-construction condo, because they only need to put down certain X amount of deposit. They don't need to get a mortgage right now. They were banking on flipping these assignment before closing. I think those people will exit the market of flipping pre-construction condo and actually bring down the price of pre-construction condo, because now the builder can't sell them so easily. So the builder will have to lower the price or give more incentive. So I think this is a really good policy or strategy to have to bring down the housing prices. So lastly, there are other proposed policy, for example, a 2-year ban on foreign purchases of non-recreational properties. So they're going to actually ban foreigners from buying residential properties in Toronto unless it is a multiplex that it's for investment purposes or other recreational properties. First-time homebuyer tax credit. So this is another policy that's going to encourage first-time homebuyer to get into the market. So they're increasing the tax credit from $5,000 to $10,000. So it translates to a rebate of about $1,500 as opposed to $750 from before. And then there's also a $7,500 tax credit if someone is renovating their home to create a second suite for a family member. So my thoughts are that foreign buyers make up only about 5 to 10% of overall purchases. And so with the 2-year ban, would that have that much of an effect? And also there are ways around it to get a lot of investors will actually do a loan to a local person and use the local person's name to purchase property on their behalf. So just to avoid having to pay the foreign buyer's tax. Other incentives might help, but they won't make a big impact. Overall, I think it's more of a supply issue than demand. We have the lake to the south, we have the green belt to the north. So buildable land is getting less and more scarce, so less and less available. So I think that is the reason why we're seeing a lot of pent up demand for housing. The increase in interest rate will definitely have a much bigger immediate impact. And right now we're feeling it already. Since the announcement of rate increase and the anticipation of further increase in June, we're already seeing the market is cooling down quite a lot, even without all these extra policies that are coming down the pipeline. So I think interest rate will have a much bigger impact than all of these little policy add together. But in the next couple of years, like I said last week, we're going to see a more balanced market. But as people get used to these policies, I think we're going to see another big jump maybe in year 2024 and onwards. So right now it's quieter. Enjoy this time. If you're in the market to purchase or to sell, uh, it will just I'll talk about selling side. So if you're a seller looking to sell, it will take a little longer than before to sell, but you're not going to lose a lot of the gains that you've gained from 2019, 2018. Prices are, most sellers are keeping their prices pretty high right now still. Some are more eager to sell, so they're dropping the price a bit, but most are keeping the prices. And so it's going to take a little bit longer. And once the buyers see that the market has sort of stabilized, they'll be back into the market because there are a lot of people who have to move. They've paused it for a couple of years now, and so they need to move. And if you're a buyer, there are good opportunities out there. You can probably score something nice if you're not too picky. Um, and so there are properties that you can purchase and renovate to make it your own. So you don't really have to always buy something that's already done up and pay the premium. If you can look past that, buy something that needs work and put in the work yourself. And I think you're going to come out way ahead of, if you were going to compete with other people on a done up property. So that's it for this week. I hope that was helpful to you. And if you have any question at all, my number, email is always in all the videos below. Shoot me a message and let me know, and I'll try to answer your question. Again, it's Steven Sun at Homes by Sun with Remax. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.